Hello everyone, we're back. Today we have the Banquet Aftermath era that runs from April 25th to May 22nd. I'm going to preface this video by saying I will only be focusing on major lore points because especially with the next couple of eras, they are very long and I don't have the time nor energy to cover every single tiny detail in that. Moving along, we're going to start on the 27th. Tommy, Tubbo, and Ranboo are all going to gang up together to plan to kill Dream. Tommy has learned that the egg is gone. Let's go. Tommy then goes over to Snowchester to try to find Tubbo and Ranboo to finally talk about their plan. By their plan, I mean mostly Tommy's. Tommy asked Tubbo to speak with him alone for a moment, and that he would like to get Dream's armor, because Tubbo has that along with all of Dream's other things. So Tubbo reluctantly goes along with the plan, even though he's like 95% sure it's cursed because it used to be Dream's. And then they go on the railway to Pogtopia to get Tommy's sword. They also find out from Sam that the vault is done. The three then go to Tommy's watchtower by Pandora's vault. Again, why does Tommy want to go there so much? I don't get it. He does, however, say to the other two that he doesn't feel strong enough to do what he's about to do, and he is filled with immense fear. So they start mining to see how harsh the mining fatigue thing is. And as this is going on, Tommy decides to ask Ranboo about his panic room. That's an interesting choice of conversation. So Tommy is continuously talking about his plan, and he decides that he's going to face his fear and return to exile. Again, why? You don't have to do that. So the three start heading to Loxtonshire. And of course, you got those good old PTSD flashbacks. Then, Tommy and Ranboo decide to head back to the greater SMP where they see Eret. And Eret's like, I have a recreation of the final control room. You want to see it? So they're like, yeah, sure. And Tommy asks Ranboo to lock him in the replica. Why? And Tubbo joins them because he non-canonically died for a second while they were in Loxtonshire. So the three finally leave the museum after a bit too much happening. And Tommy randomly asks Tubbo to hit him with his sword. Why? Tommy also finds the book that Eret had left in Wilbur's chest. The three of them decide to go back to the bunker that they were carving out by Pandora's vault. And Tommy tells Tubbo and Ranboo to seal him in it. Sir, why? And then, of course, because it's a small space, it starts giving him a panic attack. And it reminds him of exile and the vault with Dream. And like good friends, they let Tommy out because you can only handle so much screaming. Ranboo leaves upon Tommy's request, and then Tommy and Tubbo go up in the tower, and Tommy decides to tell Tubbo that his most recent visit to the whole Pandora's vault was meant to finish all his business with Dream. It didn't. He had really missed the chance to kill Dream, and so now he's going to decide to break into the prison to try to kill Dream again. Now, if it didn't work the first time, it's probably not going to happen the second time either. They do say third time's the charm, but this is the second time, and also don't try a third time. He says the only reason he kept Dream alive is because Dream has all the knowledge of the resurrection book, which, fair enough. He says that he, after going through death and revival, would rather have stayed dead, and so he doesn't want really anyone else to have to go through that. Tubbo also agrees that he will keep this entire situation a secret. After their conversation, Tubbo goes over to Ranboo at the Big Inn Hotel and says that he needs to get a bunch of wither skulls, although he doesn't tell Ranboo why, so he's not breaking the trust of Tommy. So Ranboo, like a good friend and platonic husband, takes Tubbo to a wither skull farm, and Tubbo accidentally let it slip that Tommy would be really happy, and of course Ranboo's like, why would Tommy be happy? And then Tubbo takes advantage of Ranboo's horrible memory, distracts him a bit, and finally gets him to forget what had just happened. Now we are on to April 29th, where Tommy is planning to execute his plan to kill Dream. We love puns. So Tommy meets up with Tubbo, Ranboo, and Ghostbur is there too. In the watchtower, Tubbo hands over all of those wither skulls, and then Ranboo hands over invisibility potions because Ranboo was sort of filled in on everything. Tommy then goes into more depth, finally, of what the plan actually is, which is that Ghostbur will go visit Dream, which will be as like a distraction. And then, with the invisibility potions, Tommy will sneak in and kill Dream. Will this work? Who's to say? Tommy tells Ghostbur not to reveal that Tommy is coming along with Ghostbur to Sam. Outside of the tower is Friend. He just showed up, I guess. And Ghostbur's like, I'll take Friend with me. Which I know Friend can never really die, but seeing him get killed and then resurrected is not fun. Tommy and Ghostbur then go up to the prison. And once again, Tommy's like, don't tell Sam I'm coming with you. Which all of this is very much foreshadowing that someone's going to screw up. Sadly, Ghostbur is forced to leave Friend behind, so we can't have good things in this. Everyone follows along the normal prison procedure of signing in and locking things in their locker. So far, so good. They actually managed to get to Dream's cell, which, like, clap for that, I guess. You made it halfway. Then, when they make it to the vault, Tommy whips out his axe, and because invisibility potions don't work on weapons and whatnot, Sam sees it and then threatens to kill Tommy, not knowing it's Tommy because he's still invisible, but threatening to kill the invisible figure that is there. Tommy, fearing for his life, steps back, and now Ghostbur is trapped with Dream. Tommy is forced to drink milk to get the potion effect to wear off, and when Sam sees that it's Tommy, he says that he should have killed Tommy for breaking into the prison. Which, sort of fair enough. I think killing's a bit far, but he did break the rules. Tommy tries to, like, dilute the situation by saying, oh, no, I wasn't just trying to break in. I was trying to kill Dream. Now, I don't know in what world that would have really worked, but it didn't work in this one because Sam just says that he should kill Tommy again. Sam and Tommy argue back and forth, and then Dream cuts through and actually yells out to Tommy. And Sam tries to silence him and tells Ghostbur to step away from Dream. Dream then threatens to revive Wilbur. Pulled that one out of nowhere. And Tommy tells Ghostbur to kill Dream. Then, because Ghostbur's not really doing it, Tommy's like, Sam, you have to kill Dream. Someone here needs to murder that man. Tommy pleads to Sam to get Ghostbur out of the vault. Sam doesn't do anything because Ghostbur is a ghost. Which, you know what? Fair enough. Yeah, I understand what he was going with there. Tommy frantically tries to get Ghostbur out, and Ghostbur is like crying and begging because Tommy promised that he would be safe, and obviously he's not. Tommy is trying to comfort Ghostbur, and Sam then asks Ghostbur what all had like happened. And so Ghostbur admits that Tommy stated that he would come in spirit. I don't know if that's supposed to be a pun or not. And that he never wanted to actually lie to Sam because, guys, Ghostbur's a good person. But, you know, we can't have nice things because Ghostbur's still panicking, Tommy's frantically trying to comfort him, and Dream is threatening to release the book. So Sam then puts down the lava wall, finally, but not soon enough because Dream kills Ghostbur. How do you kill the ghost? I don't know, but he did it. Tommy is very angry and starts saying a bunch of death threats to Sam, who pushes him out of the prison and says to, like, never come back and all that jazz. Sam says that if Tommy were to ever come back to the prison, he would kill him on sight. Tommy then collects Ghostbur's things and Friend and leaves. Tommy then meets up with the waiting Tubbo and Rombu and explains what had happened with Ghostbur and Dream and that Ghostbur is now dead. And because Ghostbur is dead, it's quite possible that Wilbur was revived. I don't know how these mechanics work. Then return to the watchtower, and Tommy decides to tell Rombu that he never saw Wilbur as a friend because Wilbur had never changed. He thought that Wilbur, could. We love angst in this house, and Tommy reasons that if Wilbur were to be revived, that he'd probably be in L'Manberg because that's where he was killed. So they decide to head over to L'Manberg to see, if he's there. Rombu, I think, trying to comfort Tommy, it's like just the tiniest bit, says that Wilbur might come back a bit changed because, he's been in like purgatory, whatever. And they go to Wilbur's shrine, and he's there. He has a worn jacket and that white streak in his hair. Tommy tries to give Wilbur some blue and also friend, and Wilbur doesn't really understand the meaning of all that and rejects it, and he doesn't know who friend is. So he's not very knowledgeable of everything that had just happened because he sees the Lemandberg crater and is like, was that me? Did I do that? And then he greets Tubbo and watches the sunrise. Dawn of a new day, all that. Rombu it's kind of funny. Rombu's the one to fill Wilbur in on the whole friend situation, which is funny because Rombu can't remember things either. Wilbur is also very grateful that Tommy had visited him in the afterlife, even if it wasn't by great circumstances that happened. Tommy is very upset because he kind of hated Wilbur and Ghostbur was a lot better. And so he demands that Ghostbur comes back, and Wilbur is kind of aware of Ghostbur, but we can't bring Ghostbur back anymore. But Wilbur is very interested in what Tommy saw in Limbo. When he was dead, it had been a train station, and that he had met Tommy at some point, and then Tommy had gotten on a different train and left. And all this hurts so much more if you listen to Your City Gave Me Asthma, which if you haven't, you should. It's an amazing album. But the first song is Jubilee Line, and I don't know if this is confirmed or not, and someone could probably tell me this, but it feels like Limbo was almost based off of that song, which again, if you haven't listened to it, it's a fantastic album. It's a great song, but very sad. There's one full playlist which has a bunch of comments, and Wilbur has a comment on there, and it's very touching. So I highly recommend that you listen to it. But anyway, back to Limbo. When Wilbur was there was another train that had arrived, and 2 people were on it. That was very desaturated, and that one is Ghostbur. And then Dream, who said that he was saving Wilbur. Tommy is very adamant to Wilbur that Dream is not a hero, and Wilbur knows all this because of Ghostbur. Wilbur is a lot calmer than I would have expected you to be, especially after you come back from the dead. But Tommy tells Wilbur that a lot of stuff had happened on the server. A lot of people have changed. A lot of bad things have happened, and that Wilbur was the one to cause everyone immense pain. And Wilbur says that Tommy is just trying to make him feel bad, just like he did in Pogtopia. Wilbur says that now that he's back alive, he has a bunch of things to do, and so he goes off. And then Tommy and Tubbo leave, and it's just Rombu left thinking, what just happened? May 3rd, Fundy is contemplating blowing his own house up. And then Phil interrupts and tells Fundy that Wilbur is back. So back to the whole Fundy wants to blow his own house up thing. He thinks that it's been cursed or whatever because he had a nightmare that he and others were lured into a room by bad, which is quite possible. He saw a Ghostbur in his dream. So there's that. And he was going to move out of his base to try to start anew. And just as he is about to blow up the TNT under his base, Phil messages him to meet up at the Lemandberg crater. They meet up and talk about, the fact that Wilbur's back. They try to find Wilbur, but they fail. Phil had found Friend at the crater and, thinks that he wishes he would have asked Ghostbur more questions. Fundy ends up telling Phil about the nightmare that he had, and Phil assures Fundy that, it'll be fine. Fundy gets real in denial when Phil tells him that Ghostbur's gone and Wilbur is back, which I can understand because that father-son relationship was never great. Fundy thinks that because Wilbur destroyed Lemandberg that he didn't deserve to be revived. And Phil's like, bro, Dream did it, so we didn't have any control in this. And once again, another member is saying that Wilbur might have changed some in the afterlife, which it seems like he has a little bit. Still retains bad qualities. And Phil had these old letters from Wilbur that Wilbur was going to start a new nation called Pogtopia, and so him and Fundy go off there together. Also, Wilbur was in the afterlife for 13 years to him, which is a very long time. And also the cursed number. At Pogtopia, they still can't find Wilbur, and so they head back to the Lemandberg crater. Phil shows Fundy where where Phil tells Fundy that Wilbur had showed him the design for the L'Manberg flag. And Fundy starts losing hope that he's ever going to find Wilbur again. And Phil tries to assure him that maybe Wilbur's just not ready yet. Phil tells Fundy that Wilbur had been sending him letters and whatnot, and that Wilbur wrote that he handed L'Manberg over to someone that he trusted, which was Tubbo, and that he willingly left to create Pogtopia to, do it all again. Funny asked Phil if he knew about Schlatt's election and whatnot in the presidency. That happened after. And Fundy, which Phil didn't, I don't know how, but I guess not. And Fundy tells him that Schlatt won the election and that he had run with Nikki as another party. He then goes on about his time that he worked with Schlatt, the whole Manberg festival and the techno thing that happened. And then the subsequent Manberg versus Pogtopia war. And he thinks that Wilbur had been lying to Phil, but Phil's like, no, Wilbur wasn't lying to me, which I think he kind of was. I think this is their way of trying to fill in the fact that Phil just showed up one day and everyone was like, is that Phil's in Minecraft? Fundy is like, hey, Wilbur was leaving out massive parts of L'Manberg's history. That's not sketch to you? And also those letters are far away now, so good luck ever finding them. Phil is unscared that Dream will try to use Wilbur, which I think is already happening low-key. And so far, Fundy asks who Wilbur had talked with, which has only been Tommy, Tubbo, and Rombo. Fundy is really unsure that Wilbur had the possibility to change, and they then part ways. And then Fundy returns to his base and blows up the TNT, destroying his home. Phil then returns to his house to find Rombu's letter, and he thinks, why Wilbur would ever consider Dream a hero. May 5th, Tommy and Wilbur decide to catch up some, like brothers do. They meet at the L'Manberg crater, and Tommy asks as if he's actually glad that Wilbur's back, but we all know he's not. What happened to Happy Crime Bros? What happened to that? Wilbur tells Tommy, hey dude, my memories are kind of coming back, in that he knew about Ghostbur and wants to take Friend with him. Tommy tries to get Wilbur to leave Friend, but then Wilbur pulls out the lore sword. Tommy thinks Wilbur's gonna try to kill him. And Wilbur's like, no, I just want to catch up. I'm not gonna murder you. Wilbur really tries to push that he has changed. No. And Wilbur then gets to see his own grave, which I'm reading Magnus Chase right now, and reminds me of when Magnus straight up saw his own dead body and was like, huh, that's interesting. They go over to Big Inn Hotel and they see Skeppy there. Tommy tells him to leave, and then Wilbur's like, maybe we should apologize to Skeppy. Skeppy then accidentally kills Friend, so no apology for you. Jack also shows up, so that's another person that knows Wilbur's back, and another person he's meeting that's not his son. Tommy then tells Wilbur about his last visit to the prison and how Dream sort of beaten him to death. And Wilbur's very confused of why Tommy was wearing armor at the L'Manberg crater, and Tommy decides to drop the bomb that Wilbur was the one to blow up L'Manberg. Wilbur has changed because he remembers exile and says that if he would have known everything, he would have killed Dream. Wilbur then tells Tommy that Dream was only in prison since he and the others were gaining power, and that people were trying to gain Wilbur's power after his death. And Dream stood up against that, which kind of painted Dream in a good light. I don't know about that one. And this one hurts too. Tommy reminds Wilbur that, the whole reason they formed L'Manberg was to break away from Dream. And Wilbur says that he never cared about L'Manberg. Then why'd you make it, bro? He did care about what L'Manberg stood for, though, so at least he has morals. He also says that he needs to go apologize to a bunch of people, which, yes, you do. Starting with Tommy. I decide to go to the Kamara van, and Tommy's like, hey, remember when we used to be family? And then Wilbur's like, nah, I just see you as a friend now. Like, what? They then see the Rombu My Beloved image, which makes Wilbur remember Rombu. And then, oh no, I have to apologize to Rambo. Rambo also never saw the before. He only saw the after of everything that happened with Wilbur. So he doesn't have as much bad blood. Wilbur decides to interrogate Rambo-san with what faction are you in? What do you stand for? What are your morals? And Rambo's like, Jesus Christ. Well, I'm not part of a faction. I go with people, not sides. So we got that down. And then Wilbur starts talking about the new groups that he's heard of, like the Syndicate. So when Wilbur asks Rambo what he stands for, he's like, everyone except for Dream, which is a lot of conflicting ideals, my guy. Also, Rambo doesn't hate anyone except for people who have done bad things, which again is at this point low-key almost everyone on the server. Rambo does say straight to his face that he doesn't like Wilbur before he died, and that he hopes that Wilbur can change. Rambo also says that the server was peaceful before Wilbur returned, which no, it wasn't. Let's not lie to ourselves. As they leave, Wilbur then says that Rambo was a follower. In a bit of anger, then decides to challenge Wilbur to a fight, which he wins. Tommy, that is. And he says that he wishes that Wilbur never returned. They then meet up with Phil, and Wilbur randomly remembers this place. Wilbur actually thanks Phil for killing him, because had he not been killed, he would have been in exile, which not even minutes before you were being like, oh, I wish I was in exile so I could have killed Dream for you, Tommy. And now you're saying the complete opposite. He then once again says that Dream is a hero. No. And that Tommy tells Wilbur that none of this would have happened if Wilbur, hadn't blown up the nation. Phil then is like, did you lie in your letters to me? And Wilbur's like, yeah, I did. But then he's like, I've changed, man. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. He then warns Phil, don't trust Wilbur. Wilbur then states that, his plans aren't ready. What are his plans? I don't know either. And that Rambo might be the reason everyone's been so peaceful. I don't know about that one. Wilbur then asks if he can stay with Phil, and Tommy breaks in and is like, no, you don't deserve sympathy. Phil does let Wilbur sleep in his attic, though. Tommy is arguing with Phil that, Wilbur didn't deserve any of that. Neither does he deserve a place to live. That's kind of harsh, man. Wilbur monologues some. And to this, we learn that he is massively rude. He doesn't understand why everyone likes Rambo so much. Maybe it's because he's chill. I don't know. He also says that he's done apologizing, which, no, you're not. He then goes to the museum, and he thinks of, how the frick he got revived. He says that the first thing that he saw was this chest with, a book, and he wants to read it again. And takes this book and finds that it was from Quackity, in which Quackity references him as Wilbur's old rival and kinsman. Weird. He then goes to Lemanberg and reads it, and he remembers that talk that he had with Quackity before the election, which happened in the Las Nevadas thing, and that he was right all along. And then we have Tommy's thoughts on everything. He thinks that Wilbur is planning something, which he definitely is. He literally said that. And that he won't let Wilbur manipulate him again. He's also scared that Wilbur's going to ally with Dream, which at this point, 100%. And Tommy's scared that he won't be able to save the server. He goes to the greater SMP thinking, you know what, maybe Wilbur has changed. So he goes to Wilbur's old house and says that he feels weak. You're not weak, Tommy. Not big lore thing, but now Hannah's trying to get out of the discs, which, I thought we left discs behind. Obviously not. Again, not also lore related, but I would like to preface just how horrible these people are at naming things bad as working on a place called La Sandberg. May 15th, Tommy claims ownership of the Holy Land, which I didn't really think was possible. I thought it was just one of those things that was low-key kind of owned by everyone. So this reminds me that Tommy is devout on this server. Strange how we form Minecraft religions. May 18th, George decided to make a fake lore stream in order to stage a meetup, which, George, your lore is spotty at best. Please don't harm all your poor watchers. This time, George is the one that is planning to break into the prison, which I don't really know if him and Dream are buddy-buddy on the server like they are IRL. Sometimes it gets confusing like that. I'm not too sure how the relationships work, but Tommy is there as well. Tommy is supporting George in his attempt to break into Pandora's vault and is even going to go get Dream's armor, just in case, because, if they don't have armor and whatnot, they will get killed. Tubbo brings over the Dream's armor and also some nukes. Who let this child have nukes? Then, just as George is going to go break in, it's a full face cam. And the backdrop behind him is pulled down. And who walks in but Nikki, Tubbo, and Jack? And Tommy, thoroughly confused, is like, is this lore? No, Tommy, this isn't lore. This is so much better. 21st, Michael Machill has also joined the server. And then, May 22nd, we have Las Nevadas once more. We're on episode 3, baby, strap in. Content warning for possible torture, derealization, and all that fun stuff. All these things are in a Minecraft roleplay. Remember that? Episode 3 is actually called Las Nevadas. Most of it is set in the present day this time, though some little bits are apart in the past. So we have the prologue, like always. At least this one follows a format. We stand Quackity for that. Quackity, once again on horseback, he is looking at the foundations of his country that will be called Las Nevadas. Quickly transitions back to when Quackity was part of the Butcher Army. He recalls back to the time that he was searching and whatnot, and when he lost a canon life in the final control room. That's how we got his scar, because of techno. There's flashes of Las Nevadas actually being built, and Quackity is making the L'Manberg hit list of Dream and techno. Camera flashes on, then off, then on again, and now Quackity is standing in the prison with Dream. One of his daily visits. Why you'd want to visit him daily? Absolutely no clue. Yeah, so it turns out Quackity has been torturing Dream. Now, I don't care how bad it is. I don't think we should be torturing people. Dream is actually, kind of scared of Quackity, which is surprising, because Dream literally is, besides XD, the straight up, the god of the server. And Quackity is, saying how this is, such a trouble for him. He has business to attend to, and Dream's well, he could just not show up. But Quackity says that he has to remind Dream of all the hurt that he's brought to people on the server, and he's going to experience all of it. He puts his axe away and asks Dream the last time he saw Techno, which was a short time before entering the prison. Dream states that Techno is actually one of his allies, which I don't really know if he is at this point, but let's go with that. Quackity then forces Dream to write a note to Technoblade, and that if Dream does write the note, then Quackity won't visit for a week, which means he won't get tortured for a week. Dream is cowering and whatnot, saying that the note should be written to Sapnap said, but Quackity says that if Dream doesn't write the note, then it'll kill him. Quackity says that he doesn't care about the revival book anymore. The only reason that he comes to the prison to actually torture Dream is to remind Dream of everything that he's ever done to everyone on the server, and that nothing that Quackity does can ever amount to everything that Dream has. Dream says, well, Sam wouldn't let you kill me, and then Quackity's that lava wall, he can't see us. Dream keeps calling bluff, and so Quackity decides to beat him within an inch of his life, to which Dream then finally complies and writes the letter to Techno. Chapter 1, The Pursuit of Peace. Ironic, seeing as what just happened. There is a thunderstorm, and sitting outside by a little village is a person that is most likely foolish, and there are some phrases that pop up. It says, easy job, no innocence, big reward, easy money, peaceful heist. When has there ever been a peaceful heist? Never. There is a bow that is heard being drawn back, and an arrow that is shot in the distance. The village is then seen burning to the ground and covered in lava, which screams. The person that emerges is holding a totem, and then we see it is Foolish himself. Then we cut to a restaurant that is in Las Nevadas, and Sam and Quackity are there together. Quackity says that the chef just arrived there one day, and the food is terrible. Okay. Sam is then handed a book, and they start talking about potential candidates for Las Nevadas. Sam thought they were going to actually go to try to recruit George, Sapnap, and Carl, but then no, because Quackity's a bit mad at that. They start going through the list, and then we bring up Foolish, which Sam is a bit hesitant, but Quackity explains that he just builds things nowadays, and he's a good fighter, so double win. This is when we lean on Foolish's past, and that he's not a good person. Quackity then goes to compare Sam and Foolish, saying that Sam's like, well, we haven't done anything bad, technically. It's for justice. Which, stop. Sam tries to explain that Foolish has a heavy history and that he's killed a lot of people by accident. But it was an accident, so it's fine. The whole thing was a job gone wrong, in that he quotes some of the phrases that were seen at the start of the chapter and that they were part of some old sacred texts or whatever. And is once again like, Quackity, don't recruit Foolish. And Quackity is like, I'm going to recruit Foolish. Quackity needs someone that can protect the country because he sees that something bad is going to happen in the future, which how this server works is probably correct. Then the scene changes and Quackity is at the summer home meeting Foolish. He's like, how are you after canonically dying at the Red Banquet? That's not how you make conversation, Quackity. Foolish is like listing all of his whatever alliances, that he technically has a house in Snowchester and he's kind of allied with Kanoko Kingdom, but it's not really a done deal kind of thing. And Foolish is like, you ever heard of Kanoko Kingdom? And Quackity's like, yes. Quackity describes everything about Las Nevadas to Foolish and invites Foolish to join him. Foolish is like, I'd rather live in this peacefulness of my summer home than have to deal with any of the crazy stuff that'll probably happen at Las Nevadas. In which Quackity says, your past is crazy, you probably want some more, so you should join us. And Foolish reiterates that no, he does not want to join Las Nevadas. Quackity lets out that he kind of dug into Foolish's entire past, and Foolish is rightly angry and once more says that he does not want to join Las Nevadas. He doesn't want to join any warmongering or violent things. He just wants peace. Which mood? Quackity then offers to buy Foolish's summer home, weirdly. And Foolish is like, you'll never have enough money. And then Quackity says, actually, it's only worth 1 diamond. And here's why. You spend so many hours, so much work, for so much of yourself to build this place. But that's all it is. It's just a build. No one comes here. No one has a house here. No one stays here. People really just come to admire and then leave. Foolish. This is an empty shell, all right? It looks beautiful from the outside, but on the inside it's decaying. It's going to disappear in time and no one is really going to remember it. That's why it has the value of 1 diamond to me. And you know what this build reminds me of, Foolish? It reminds me of you. This build reminds me of you, Foolish. You used to be big. You used to be great with everything you did. And now, you're nothing but an empty shell. You are to be feared from the outside, but on the inside, everybody knows you're just a builder. And I was hoping at some point you would realize this after I let you die at the Red Banquet. Harsh. Foolish is then angry and almost lunges at Quackity with his trident because Quackity was just watching as Foolish died at the Red Banquet instead of, charging in a bit earlier. And he says this about that. He says, I let you die because I wanted a better version of you. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Because you know what? You are still the same person as the day you died. So let me tell you something, Foolish. The reason I let you die in the first place is so that you could finally realize that even being the builder that you are right now could cost you your life. I was hoping that it would make you realize that this falsehood of living a peaceful life, making these incredible builds that no one will really use in the span of time. I hope that would make you realize that you need to go back to the old ways, to how you used to be. You used to be a feared warrior, and you were. Anywhere you could stand, people would look at you and be scared. You were someone, Foolish. You were someone. Now, you're nobody. That's what you are. You are a nobody, Foolish. And the reason I came to you and told you to join my country is because it's going to be a big thing. And what do I need for a big country? Big people, important people, people with skill, people who know how to do things. So you know what, Foolish? That's what I came here for. I came here to recruit you and get you back to your old ways, to how you used to be. Foolish sees it all as like some sales pitch or whatever, and Quackity gives him 2 choices. If he wasn't going to join Las Nevadas and wasting away and do nothing, then Quackity gave him permission to kill him there and then. But if Foolish thought otherwise and thought that there was a chance to bring the old Foolish back, that could bring back the power and the fear that once was there. Foolish has worked for a lot of people, Dream, Wilbur, Schlatt, and so he asks, how's Quackity going to be any different than that? Quackity's like, well, there's no sale pitch to each person that I go to. The sales pitch is Las Nevadas itself, its pure existence. Anyone is likely to join if I offer. And that he says that he sees himself in Foolish, Living in peace didn't solve anything. And what it really brought was a bunch of suffering and death. He then leaves the open offer and also the coordinates for Las Nevadas if Foolish were to join. And then he leaves with a final warning. Whilst constructing good builds, not wasting his life away, purely building. Chapter 2. There's an old-timey infomercial about slime within the Dream SMP. I think we know where this is going. It says that slimes may seem insignificant at first, but they have a defense system that makes them not an easy target. It also states that the only reason that slimes can evolve is the adaptation of their environment. That there is no reason to worry about slime morphing into some crazy thing, Unless now we're with Quackity on the roof of the casino in Las Nevadas. He goes to a nearby restaurant and is trying to place TNT and whatnot, which is weird because it's in his own borders, but whatever. And he stops because he sees some slime and he picks it up. There he finds Charlie's slimesicle in the walls. In Charlie's perspective, we see him waking up in a frozen tundra. Quackity starts to interrogate him, and then Charlie's like, "You're Quackity from Las Nevadas." Charlie's trying to explain that he's actually human with 300 bones before Quackity stops him and is trying to interrogate him even more. Charlie is, again, like me, confused at why Quackity would be trying to blow up his own establishment, and says that he had overheard Quackity talking about, the human psyche, gambling, all that fun stuff. Quackity then spots the slime that is on Charlie's hair, and Charlie tries to convince Quackity that he is not a piece of goo that has crawled to the surface over hundreds of years. Great save. Once again, Quackity asks Charlie what he knows, and he heard, talking about a purple guy where Quackity destroyed his UFO, which makes Quackity freak out and wants to kill Charlie for knowing too much. He starts asking more questions because now he's intrigued that Charlie knows so much. Charlie says that he's seen a lot of things over the SMP. He says that he saw Foolish, who looks like he's full of regret. Also, there's a green guy, a guy with a red shirt and is blonde, and a guy who is dead but isn't anymore. So we got Dream, Tommy, and Wilbur. Let's go. Quacky's a bit afraid of that one and asks what the third guy looks like, which Charlie says ashy or sooty, so we know it is in fact Wilbur. Quackity then realizes that Charlie's accidentally been spying on everyone and that he's perfect to use. So Quackity is low-key manipulating him because brings Charlie home and also says that spy means friend. So great going. Now we have chapter 3, which is set in the past 1 week before the Red Banquet. Here we see someone walking down the Prime Path while Sam and Quackity are talking about Purpled. Sam thinks that he's dead, while Quackity is like, no, he'll be fine. He's great for the country. And then the camera pans over to Purpled's UFO, which is destroyed. Now the person is walking towards L'Manberg, and Quackity is explaining that he has a plan to get his attention via a job offer. Then there is another scene change, and Quackity is seen talking to Sam in the museum. And his voice sounds like it's coming through a radio, so that's a bit strange. Sam's like, this is a bad idea. I'm a warden. This is illegal. Not good. And Quackity is like, chill, bro. Just look up for Purpled. He hasn't been here for months. Quackity is then seen climbing the UFO and placing TNT inside of it. Oh, and what would you know? Purple shows up in the UFO and starts fighting Quackity. Quackity's like, chill, bro. I wasn't going to blow up your thing. This was only to get your attention, and attention it did get. They then both de-arm, and Quackity explains everything that's happening with the egg, that it's a problem and that it's spreading everywhere and it needs to be taken out. This is also when it's revealed that Purple was working for the egg pyre, and then Quackity offered him more because Las Nevadas is basically a big cash grab. So Purple ends up switching sides. Then we see Bad's perspective of the egg pyre Red Banquet thing, where Quackity, Techno, and Purple are breaking in. Now Quackity is on top of this flower shop that looks over to Hannah's house. Purple shows up and is a bit concerned of what will happen with the egg, which Quackity assures that he and Sam have it all figured out. Newsflash, no they don't. Then Purple finally gets his money. Then being a great person, as everything's getting wrapped up, Quackity decides to just blow up Purple's UFO, which sets off Purple, and Quackity's like, it's fine. Now you are chill. He says that it needed to be done or whatever. Quackity then corners Purple and says that he has two choices. He could take the money, run away forever, or he could join Las Nevadas. Quackity then reveals he knows everything that Purple has done in the past, that he's been taken as a fool before, and that Las Nevadas offers him a chance to prove that he's more than that. And then Purple finally leaves. Chapter 4. Scene starts by focusing on a partially destroyed tower in the Mesa biome, and then a small cottage thing. Here we have this perspective of Fun, who's blowing up his tower. He lives in the cottage in the middle of the woods. Quite correct for a fox. He says that he misses some of the people from his past life, but this was all for the good of many. As he's exiting his cottage, he's like, hold up, why am I in a mesa biome? And as he's freaking out, Quackity shows up. They end up in a clearing with the remnants of L'Manberg and the Kamara van. The two then talk about their different memories between L'Manberg, the election, and all that good jazz. Quackity's like, you may have lost the election, but at least you tried. Consolation prize. Fundy's confused that the Kamara van is still standing there because everything had gotten blown up, in which Quackity's like, so it's been here, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Fundy says that the Kamara van brings up some memories and not all good, and then Quackity's like, all good memories are good memories, which no. And Fundy is still confused on how the Kamara van is there when it was, in fact, destroyed. Then they head over to Eric's tower, and Quackity decides to monologue a bit about the fact that Fundy's memories don't matter, and that he doesn't matter at all. So, great job. He says nothing matters, and it never will, and that sand and wind tears everything away, and the same thing will happen with Fundy over time. This is when Quackity does the whole, like, oh, if you join me, you'll matter, you'll do something in life. He doesn't mention Las Nevadas, like, directly, though, but it's laced in there. And then when Fundy exits, and then Fundy randomly wakes up back in his house in the cottage, and Quackity is at his door. Now we are into the epilogue. There's a clip from Wilbur's stream from May 5th when he found the book that Quackity had. Wilbur is then seen going up to the Las Nevadas entrance and reading the sign there before walking in. Then he sees Quackity and they meet up together, but we can't hear anything, and then the stream ends. And that is all for today. If you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things that real YouTubers are supposed to say, and goodbye.